Today we're going to be talking about ice.
Woo!
Ice, baby. Dun, 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 dun. No, okay, it's actually quite serious. Hello, welcome to Thread Daily. I'm Imogen, and today we are talking about the climate, like we should be every day. But specifically, we are going to be talking today about the Greenland Ice Sheet, because recently there was some pretty bad news that came out of a report in Nature magazine about 2019's melt season. So every year over summer, there's a certain amount of the ice sheets, both in Greenland and the Arctic, that melt and cause sea levels to rise. So obviously one of the massive consequences of global warming is more CO2 means higher temperatures, means more ice melting, means rising sea levels. Not so great if you are not an amphibious species, as humanity is not. Here are the facts. You might think it's actually Antarctica, which is the biggest contributor of ice melt every summer into the ocean, but actually it's this massive ice sheet that makes up a big proportion of the country of Greenland. And last year, 95% of that whole ice sheet melted over summer. Now, to put that into perspective, between the years of 1981 and 2010, every year an average of only 65% of the ice sheet melted. But last year, 586 billion metric tons of ice melt went from their solid form in ice straight into the ocean. Now, to put that into perspective, that is the equivalent of 7 Olympic-sized swimming pools being released into the ocean every second, just from this one ice sheet. To put that even more into perspective, that entire volume of water would be enough to cover the state of California in 1.5 meters of water. That's nearly as tall as I am. Is it? Is that taller than I am?
I'm roughly 2.
That's about as tall as I am. Now, a big reason why at the moment things are really bad when it comes to the Greenland Ice Sheet is because of a phenomenon called Greenland blocking. Now, this essentially means that because of CO2 getting trapped in the atmosphere, all the warm air above North America gets shifted over to the top of the world and sits over Greenland, causing the whole thing basically to melt. Now, to put that into perspective, scientists are estimating that so much of the ice has melted that even if conditions improve this year, the sheet in total will still continue to melt year on year. This is obviously really bad news for coastal communities and, the world at large, because the more the temperature rises, the more the sea levels rise, and then the more at risk coastal communities in island nations or even around the coast of America are. So whilst this is obviously really bad news, specifically when it comes to the Greenland ice sheet, there is some good news in the report when it comes to ice melt in the Arctic. Now, ice melt in the Arctic is actually a really contentious issue because there's such a thing called permafrost in the Arctic, which is kind of like a layer of ice that has other carbon dioxide mixed in it. So as soon as that starts melting, then it's even more carbon dioxide getting released into the atmosphere. So rates of melt there haven't really increased too much over the past 5 years, and scientists reckon that if we slow CO2 emissions, then perhaps we can save some of the permafrost there from melting. Whilst there's no real reason to get too nihilistic about it, this is a pretty dire warning. We've now found out that the Greenland ice sheet is pretty much beyond repair when it comes to further melts in future years, but the Arctic still, there might be some ice there worth saving. So, CO2 reduction has never been more important. I think it's really, really crucial to remember that as in the next couple of weeks, the G20 summit comes to meet. It's really important that we make sure politicians keep the climate on the agenda, because things are getting bad, but they could get worse. So on that note, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. Check us out on Instagram, check out thread.com, and keep recycling. No, but it's serious.
No, yeah.
It's bad ice.
Ice.
Well, no, we want ice. It's bad ice when it melts is not good ice. But bad water, good ice.
We want it in our gin and tonics and above the sea level.
Exactly. Whilst we also remain above sea level. Actually, I have nothing else to say.